Hi, welcome to another edition of Spectrum of the Arts. Today's show is a little different. We usually recognize outstanding student work or performances on the program. But today, we're going to take a look at some of what precedes some of those student accomplishments.
Today we are teaching art teachers how to photograph their artwork and properly submit their pieces to our art shows that we do every year. So we're talking about technique, we're talking about ways to help them in the classroom, ways to help their students learn how to photograph their own pieces, and ways to use the computer so that they can infiltrate or use technology as well.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about shooting photos with an iPad. There is a good video in the VAT about this that kind of shows you. I mean, you're probably wondering why I'm talking about that since you got this big old fancy camera. But sometimes, as you know, when you're in a hurry and you just, don't have the time to, to get your camera out and all that, you might be using your iPad. So one of the things that we talked about earlier was, I'm trying to multitask here, sorry, was making sure that the iPad was square to the surface that you're photographing. And I started a long time ago using Sonia and teaching my students how to photograph artwork. So I would just have them lay the iPad on the table, lay their artwork down on the floor so that I had my iPad on a flat surface and then the artwork was completely parallel to it. So after you have photographed your artwork on the iPad, you can also edit it on there if you need to in Photos. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and import our photos into Photos. And then once we get into Photos, we're going to go ahead and do some editing in there. So I'd like you just to kind of watch first, and then we'll all have some time to work. So if you have an older computer that has a USB port, you should also have a port for your card. And you're just going to put the card in there. And I think we already did this earlier.
Actually,
yes.
We have the card in our camera.
Uh-huh.
We want to just use the wire.
Yep.
My old camera.
Yep.
So you just leave the card in and just hook it up.
Yes. And then when you go to Photos, if you have it hooked in with the wire, it's going to also show up here on the left-hand side where it says no name, but instead of saying no, it might still say no name, but a little camera icon instead of a card icon. So you put that in there, and then as Jonathan said before, you can import selected or you can import all new, and I'm going to import all new. You can check delete items if you trust in your camera and you are not afraid that you might lose those. I personally would import them first and delete them later, but that's just the way I am. So then you can see them all coming in, and then when you go to find your photos, they'll be in Photos, but if you have a lot, sometimes it's hard to find. And if you go to imports, it will always be the top one, the last one that you actually imported. Okay, so if it's in here, you might not be quite as easy to find if it's all the way at the bottom. If you go here to imports, it's always going to be your last import. So as you can see, these are some of the photos that Alicia took, and they're good, nice photos.
Creative.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. It like turned them all different colors.
Yes. Yep. Did you had it? You had it on the creative setting. Yeah. So this is one of the different settings in the camera called creative. Do you remember that one?
No, those are some of I was messing with, seeing how quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's manual.
The one that has the little, looks like
The boxes, the creative shot. It takes a bunch of different ones.
Right. So somebody else did that too, and then the camera didn't import them in order, so they don't really know what went with that with what. That's a good one.
There's some good ones of birds. I have.
Yeah.
A lot of birds at Largo Park.
And here's our artwork ones. Just kind of experimenting with that. Okay, so I'm going to stop on this one because it does need some editing. Once you get to the photo that you need to edit, there's a little button up here in the corner called Edit. And there's some quick functions up here at the top. There's Auto Enhance, which I don't suggest you use on artwork because we are trying to make the artwork look as it does in real life, not to enhance it. Here's Quick Rotate if you need a quick rotate. I believe this is if you want to, if you want to have a list of favorites. Maybe when you're going through these for art shows, you'll be like, oh, that's a favorite. Put it in your favorite folder. I honestly don't know what this part is, the extensions. And then this is information, the metadata about your artwork, where it was taken, the date, the kind of camera, and so forth. So functions that you have for editing, we have light, different lightnesses here, and I kind of like it in photos how they do this, because you can see in the little thumbnail a little preview of what it's going to look like, and then it's just the slider here where you slide it to get the lighting exactly the way you want it. Color, I would definitely not do much with the color. If you have taken a good photo, you shouldn't have to do that. Let's see. This one kind of shows the levels of your red, the green, and the blue, the different colors in your photo. And you can, if you want to toy around with those, you can do that. There's a vignette. You wouldn't obviously use that for artwork, but you can have that, work that for your personal work. And then up here is your crop button. And like I told you before, if you're cropping on a artwork that doesn't have a, anything really important in the background, then you don't have to be super precise about cropping this in. And it kind of changes it as you go along. This is if you need to rotate it slightly to kind of line it up. And then the one thing that I do wish they had in photos that as of yet I don't think they do, unless you guys can tell me that they do, is that you can crop each side independently if you get it keystoned. So I don't think you can do that right now. You can or cannot? You can. Yeah, I didn't think so.
You can on the...
I know you can in Sonia, and I know you can in Photoshop.
In Instagram, you can.
All right, can you? So I don't know. They need to get with the program and get it into Apple products. So then once you're done with the photo the way you want it, you hit done. And then, once you've done all your photos, you're ready to export the photo.
Julie, can I ask a
Yes,
question?
please.
On one of the videos, it said something about like cleaning it up a little bit.
Yeah, like with a little eraser tool. You could do that. I mean,
in editing? Is that in
it is, yeah. If you go back into edit,
And you can do an
it's retouch. You can under what?
It's just under crop. Instead of going to the corners, if you go to the side, right there, then you can do the side.
Right, but I'm talking about where you could do this corner. See how technically this should be on a little bit of an angle, and that, but
Degrees don't change.
well, it does, but it does the whole artwork. So what I'm saying is this is when you've got your camera on the wrong angle and you've got it bigger at the top and smaller at the bottom, that it's nice to be able to move those sides on an angle. And some programs will do that. Did you see that, Lainey?
Yeah, and then you just...
Yeah, and then you just would go, yep, so I'm going to do it again. Go back here to edit, go to retouch, and then you just take this thing and just, well, that's Command Z to undo it.
The size.
Yeah, I
The
haven't,
paintbrush, touch the paintbrush.
I did touch the paintbrush.
Yeah, and now make it smaller, so go to the paint, yeah. And then,
But this came white.
Erased it.
yeah, and then it does it when, because it's showing you the area that you're fixing.
Oh, and then when you let it go, it kind of evens it out.
Yeah. Oh.
So yeah, say you want to get rid of this little white area here.
It's like Facetune.
Woo!
Wow.
Okay, so that's the retouch. Red eye is cool. Red eye, I'll do it on here, but it obviously won't work. You just come on here and you go to your size and you put a little dot where the eye is, and then it just takes out that little glare that's in your eye. It just kind of blends it out.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with it.
Yeah, again, that's,
I'm sure my dog would try to do that.
yeah. But again, these are just some sort of things that you could play around with. The good thing about photos is you can always revert back to the original, no matter what you've done to it, how far you've gone away from reality. You can always come back. So that's editing your photos in Photos. So what I'd like you guys to do is to go ahead and import those photos that you took. Check them out, see how they look. Do some editing in there if you'd like, just to get some practice. And I'll give you maybe about 10 minutes or so to play around in there.
I'm absolutely excited about how Pinellas supports the arts and actually can teach us how to use our cameras to take professional pictures for students, and then we can also relay that information to our students and show them how to use the camera. So I think I've never had any training like this, even in college, to actually show me how to take a picture of a student's artwork.
It's super important for us to be able to document the artwork that our students are making. We do digital submissions for all of our art shows, so teachers have to be able to photograph their pieces in a true manner so that they can actually submit them, they look good, they present well so that they can decide on, or the jurors can decide on whether the pieces should be selected to be put into a gallery. And then from that point on, the teachers have that as a reference to share with other teachers, with the parents, with the students. So it's a really important element for the artists to let their artwork go to the next level, which is our goal, is to put it into a gallery or for it to be in a show.
We ask you to name your photos in a certain way before you upload them to the database. We do this for a lot of reasons. One, if you just forget to put the grade level in, I can look at the title of your artwork and determine what the grade level is, and I can plop it in for you, and I don't have to bother you. Another reason is at the end of the year, we take all of the artwork out of the database and we put it in folders on a computer. We archive it. And so if you haven't named the photos correctly, then they just come up as image 1, image 2, image 3. We have to name them before we put them in the archive. Remember, there's one of you and you're working on anywhere from 3 to 10 photos, right, at a time for a show. And then multiply that times 150 some teachers. That's how much artwork comes through the database for me every day. So for me to have to rotate your photos or crop your photos or rename your photos, it becomes, and I like to do that because I'm not far from the classroom. I've been a teacher my whole entire life, and when I think I'm done with an art show, I don't want somebody writing me an email to say, you got to do one more thing. So I hate to bother you guys, but again, I can't do this for everybody because it's just too many people. So although the naming of photos might seem like an easy thing you can forget about doing, or just, oh, I don't need to do that, I really, really would appreciate it if you do it, because if you don't do it, then someone else has to do it for you. So show me. I've never done this because it doesn't.
It says add a title.
Okay.
Right, type in there a name.
Okay.
And you could type it the way you want it for the database if you want it.
Okay, I'll do that. So this is by Anderson is her last name. Kim is her first name. This is Pink Guy.
Underscore, right, yeah.
Remember, you always use underscores, not dashes, not periods, not anything, because then, again, that becomes a problem at the end of the year when we upload it. Microsoft doesn't like special characters, and they don't consider a underscore a special character. And then your grade level. So it's the student's last name, underscore, first name, underscore, title, and the title, if it's multiple words, you just capitalize the first letter of every word. And then the grade level. And then just close this, Tina.
Well, now you have to click onto the photo,
Okay.
the picture.
And that'll save it. Okay.
And when you go to the next one, it'll automatically save it.
Okay.
And then
So let's try to
your
export it.
desktop.
Okay, file, export one photo.
Yeah.
If this works, I'm going to come over and
Right there
kiss
where
your
it says
face.
File name, is that what you adjusted? Right there. 'Cause you
Use
did that.
file name.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
so that's good, right?
No,
So
you wouldn't click on it. You use title, because you just wrote the title.
thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, file.
Thank you, Beth.
File name.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Now go export.
This might work.
It does,
It does work.
It does work?
This is what I do.
Now, does this work on the iPad then?
No, you can't name them on the iPad.
Why not?
Because the iPad is not, like,
Okay.
Just go into
good
photos.
job.
Okay. So Maria's saying just go into photos.
Go back to your main photo folder
Okay.
where you have all your pictures.
It'll say it under it.
No. Make your screen a smaller so you can see your background. Drag a picture onto the desktop.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And then just retitle it there.
That's what
Right, and that's what I was going to tell you. Do export it and then retitle it here. So here, thank you for that, though. So here's how you do this.
You know which ones you're
You just
sending.
drag it, right?
Because
Gotcha.
in photos,
Right.
it's the underscore labeled correctly.
Right.
So, and everybody knows here to change this, you click it once and till it's light blue, and then you can go ahead and type in here. This is. I was going to do Crazy Bird, but
It started snowing.
a lot of things start with CRA, Juliana. Okay, so that's how you title these correctly. And then if you get an email from me saying, oh, your photo is too small or something like that, a quick, easy way to check it is just to take it and drag it into Preview. That'll open Preview. And then if you go up here to Tools, you can go under Adjust Size, and that'll give you your size here. You shouldn't really be submitting anything any smaller than about 15 inches it takes to fill up the adjudicator panel.
Go into photos.
Okay? So Maria's saying just go into Photos.
Go back to your main photo folder
Okay.
where you have all your pictures.
It'll say it under it.
No. Make your screen a little bit smaller so you can see your background. Drag a picture onto the desktop.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And then just retitle it there.
That's what
Right, and that's what I was going to tell you. Do export it and then retitle it here. So here, thank you for that, though. So here's how you do this.
You know which ones you're
You just
sending.
drag it. Right,
Because
gotcha.
in photos,
Right.
it's the underscore labeled correctly.
Right.
So, and everybody knows here to change this, you click it once and till it's light blue, and then you can go ahead and type in here. This is. I was going to do Crazy Bird, but
It started snowing.
a lot of things start with CRA, Juliana. Okay, so that's how you title these correctly. And then if you get an email from me saying, oh, your photo is too small or something like that, a quick, easy way to check it is just to take it and drag it into Preview. That'll open Preview. And then if you go up here to Tools, you can go under Adjust Size, and that'll give you your size here. You shouldn't really be submitting anything any smaller than about 15 inches it takes to fill up the adjudicator panel. So anything you put in smaller than 15 inches is going to have white space around the outside when the adjudicator looks at it. So please try to have these at least 14 inches. But this is a quick tool that you can crop in if you need to crop. You can adjust color. You can adjust size. Another thing you can do if, again, if you're having problems with size is if you two-finger click on the artwork and you go down here to get info. This will give you all kinds of info. It'll give you the size of it. It'll tell you when it was created. And then there's even more information under here, what kind of camera it was taken with. Which again, if you're wondering if your student actually did take that photograph, this is a good way to find that out. When I was in the classroom, I didn't have a chance to do photography. I even left before iPads. I had Mac, the Mac lab, and I'm a former PC person. So I never used photos. I always filed everything in folders, and I'm honestly, quite frankly, this is just me. I'm not a big fan of photos, for me, because I just do things differently. So this training has taught me that I need to start using photos because that's how you learn something. You learn it by using it. So take your camera on vacation, take a lot of pictures, really learn it. Any tricks you learn this year, email them to me, and I'll be much better equipped next year.
The benefit to this class, I was really looking forward to it. We get a camera and we learn how to use the lighting, and it will help us to take better pictures so that we have to download all our artwork onto a website so that we can put it into art shows, and so this will help me take better photographs of the artwork so that it can be better adjudicated. I did have a camera training about 10 years ago, and it was good, but I forgot a lot of what I had learned previously. So this is good as far as updating me on what's new. The camera that I got does have a lot of different features, so I'm really looking forward to using it. I don't have cameras for my students, but I do have an iPad lab, and we teach a photography unit. So some of the things that I learned about rules of photography and things like that, I do pass on to my students. I really appreciate all the trainings that Pinellas County Visual Arts does give us.
I wanted to show you this too. I was talking earlier about Art Sonia, and the training's already passed for this year, but I highly recommend if you guys can get to the Art Sonia training. It's pretty awesome. We set up the accounts so by the time you leave, you have all your roles in, everything's ready to go. You're all set up. All you have to do is import your kindergarten list when you get your kindergarten list in the beginning of the year.
Didn't you show how you can get your list off of Portal yourself?
Yeah, you can get your list out of Focus. Yeah, I can show you that.
Oh, it's
Absolutely.
So easy.
Yeah.
So easy.
So I just wanted to show you when you go in here to art projects and you go into the art project that you want and you find the image. So this is all my students took all of these photos themselves, and I did nothing for this. Just stood. See, here's one that I needed to check on. But anyway, so if you find one that you want to put in an art show, you click on it, and then you go down here and it says download JPEG image. Now the reason why this is so small is because this was back in the day and my camera resolution was lower. So this is the original resolution of your image.
Camera? Not an iPad.
They did it with an iPad, but back then I guess the resolution was smaller. Because I just looked at one of these yesterday and it was in the thousands. The resolution. So that's at least what I'm thinking is that these are kindergartens, so they're a little rough. Yeah, 747. So I think these are small because it was an older iPad, and the iPad, the resolution is bigger now. So Eleni was asking about Focus. So Eleni, will you come log in? Because would you come and log into that? So this is how, there's all kinds of reports that you can get in here on students. If you go to Students and you go to Advanced Report, then there's all these different things you can find. So let's just say you need a list of all of your students, name, phone number, and email. So you go in here and you say search all sections, or you could just be in this grade. This is, that threw me off because that's one of our teachers, Ramos. I'm sure that's a very common name. Yeah. But so let's just say she wants to search Miss Ramos. She goes here to student demo. This is all the things that can be on the list. Okay, this is their username for their login, but if they've changed their password, that's not going to help you too much, but at least you could give them their username. So for Art Sonia, we do the last name because we need that first. We do the first name next, so I'm just adding over here what I want. Down here under address is where the emails are listed. Email.
So then they'll send the email?
Right, so then Art Sonia sends the email. Maybe this is under primary contact. Yeah. So the email is actually under primary contact. So primary contact, add that. I always add a secondary contact because sometimes the dad's email's in there and the mom's not or whatever. So you add that. Back up to here was grade. Art Sonia also wants grade in there. And then once you get these in here, you can actually move them around too. So you get those all in the order that you want them, and then you say run a report.
You didn't click search all sections.
I know, I told her we would just do this one class. So this is her one class, and she's got a few emails in here. And you know, another thing is your teachers, all of your teachers in a month are going to have all the emails for all your students. So if you're doing Art Sonia and you want those emails, get them from the teachers. You know, can you send me a spread when you have the emails? And then to save this to Excel or something, because now it's in focus, we can't do much with it, there's this little old-timey kind of floppy disk here in the corner where next to your number of students. And if you click that, then it's going to save it as a Microsoft Excel. Say OK. Everything you save from online goes up here in this little down arrow, which is your downloads. And then you can take this and drag it onto your desktop. And now you have that advanced report. Now this is done, when it opens, it's going to give you a message because it's saved as a CSV, which is a comma separated variables. And it'll say, if you save it like this, you could lose some data. Just say yes. Don't even read that message. Just trust me and say yes.
It's like, don't even read the terms and
Right,
conditions.
exactly. So see, file format extensions don't match. File could be corrupt or unsafe. Oh yeah, whatever. Okay, yes, I want to open it anyway. Julie told me it was safe. Okay, so then here's what you recognize as a regular Excel spreadsheet. You can play around with the columns, get them the size you want. You can add information, whatever you need to do there.
So if you would have selected all,
That would be your whole school.
but alphabetical or by grade, or would it have the teachers separated? Or?
I don't know, but whatever it is, you could sort it once you get it in here. So you could sort it as grade level, you could sort it as last name. You know what I mean? Once you get it in the spreadsheet, you can go up here and say data sort, and then you can sort by grade is column C, and these are all first graders, so it won't make any difference. But whatever, you know, whatever column you wanted to do, you could sort by once you get it in Excel. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what it saves it by is if you do it this way. But so there it is.
That's awesome.
By first name.
I would tell them that even if you're going to walk away with one thing that you learned, I think that's something that's very useful. Even just, I mean, in settings as far as connecting it to your computer and learning how to actually take your SD card and put it on your computer, how to organize your artwork. I think it would be useful for anybody. I mean, even just looking at the lighting and looking at the artwork that way as well. I think that there's going to be a lot of good stuff for people to definitely get out of this training.
I've been doing this for about 16 years, so this whole process is definitely evolving. It's changing. Even from when I took it the first time, it's changed drastically just because of technology. So it's really good for kids to understand how to do it, and this really helps the teachers kind of put it out there for the kids to understand it as well. So it's a very positive element for us to have.